But at the outset, I would certainly like to say congratulations to the IBF graduates. You are the reason that we're here tonight to celebrate. We are at the end of June graduation month, a time when classes of diligent and hopeful people are filled with excitement to attend the traditional graduation ceremonies. These exciting ceremonies are often glamorous, as everyone makes quite an effort, like all of you did, to look special. So the low point of the night is usually the dull speech by the guest speaker, which, luckily for tonight, is yours truly. So let me introduce myself to you. I'm Dwala Rambarran, Governor of the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, and if you believe the headlines, the person to blame for why you can't even get US $100 to go on your vacation. But don't always believe headlines, and maybe I can also challenge another preconceived notion about graduation ceremony speakers. That is, I'll be boring. Let me assure you, I'll just partially bore you. I'll get to the exciting stuff first. I did not bring any US money with me tonight. Instead, I bring one simple message for you, the graduates. A message worth more than all the excess US dollars right now in the banking system, which actually stand at around 90 million US dollars. So my $100 million message is simply this. This is just the beginning for you. There's a skills deficit here at home, and continuous learning will be your currency in the job market. As financial services professionals, here's where your lifelong learning will finally pay off. It's interesting that Trinidad and Tobago did not purposefully start out to be a regional financial center. Yet, it happened. Today, the financial services industry is the second largest in Trinidad and Tobago, after the dominant energy sector. It now accounts for almost 15% of GDP. More than 250 financial institutions perform various roles here and in the Caribbean region, and in some instances, even globally. Our financial sector employs almost 55,000 persons in now diverse and increasingly complex jobs. Even as a country grappled with certainly weaker economic growth and the CLICO crisis, our financial sector still managed to produce some 6,000 jobs in the last 5 years. And that is certainly a tremendous achievement. Apart from traditional retail bank tellers and corporate lenders, many more jobs are being created in higher value-added activities, such as trade finance, investment analysis, portfolio management, product structuring, risk management, and technology. As Trinidad and Tobago enters a period of more sustained recovery and growth, our financial sector has significant opportunities ahead of it, which means you have more potential opportunities ahead for you. However, taking advantage of these opportunities will demand greater knowledge, skills, and expertise from you. So, be strategic. Keep investing in yourself so these opportunities will not pass you, as there are major counteracting forces that are reshaping global finance that will influence the path of our financial sector. As governor, I can give you some premium perspective about these global forces, simply because my television is always on Bloomberg. As I just said, the world is facing an acute skill shortage. A 2012 study by the McKinsey Global Institute found that the most important trend facing the global labor market is too few high-skilled workers and not enough jobs for low and medium-skilled workers. At current rates of educational attainment and labor force growth, McKinsey predicts a potential shortage of up to 40 million high-skilled workers around the world by 2020, or the equivalent of 13% of the demand for these workers. Secondly, the global financial system has shrunk and is now smaller as a proportion of the world economy. For 3 decades, capital markets and banking systems rapidly expanded and diversified. But now that process, called financial deepening, has stalled, a lingering effect of the global financial crisis. Global financial assets have now fallen to around 315% of global GDP, down from 355% of global GDP in 2007, just before the eruption of the crisis. The drop in financial assets is not only confined to the industrial countries where the crisis originated, but also extends to emerging market economies whose financial deepening has largely ground to a halt. This means fewer market players, fewer employers, fewer transactions, and, connect the dots, possibly fewer employees and fewer jobs. Skills deficit and a smaller global financial system mean your skills need to be constantly sharpened. I'll give you another example of why today you are in, but tomorrow you are out, which cements my lifelong learning, sharpen your skills message. In a classic case of revenge of the nerds, technology is rapidly redefining the way financial institutions compete, do business, and interact with their customers. From online and mobile payments to biometric authorization, the rise of cloud computing means many more financial transactions can be done faster, automatically, and at lower cost. Financial technology firms like PayPal and Zoom resemble banks, but are not. Yet, they are changing the ways in which people borrow and save, in which people pay for things, the ways in which people buy foreign exchange, and the ways in which they send money. Technology giant Google is making serious inroads into financial services with the introduction of a new payment system called Google Wallet. These global forces will fundamentally change the profile of jobs in finance in the coming decade and beyond. At the central bank, for instance, we have a growing demand for specialized financial supervision skills in anti-money laundering, specialty insurance, actuarial science, cybersecurity, and operational risk. As financial services professionals, it may be of interest to you to know that since I assumed office, almost 15% of the central bank's new employees are in the area of financial supervision, and another 10% are in the area of economic research. As I seek to build capacity in strategic areas that are vital to ensuring the central bank continues to fulfill its economic and financial stability mandate. This therefore means that there are significant opportunities for you all, the graduates, but it means that you have to engage in continuous lifelong learning. As the country looks to the future, we must ensure we are generating the right skills to stay relevant and competitive. In thinking about how to generate these skills, I believe we can draw 3 lessons from the actions policymakers usually take when managing a financial crisis. Three distinct remedies are usually applied to a financial sector in crisis. One, recapitalization programs. Two, measures to boost liquidity. And third, a sober look at how the financial system could work in the future. As a starting point, Trinidad and Tobago needs to be able to draw talent from a bigger pool than it currently has in the financial services industry. Recapitalization is needed to draw the talent that currently remains untapped. Here, we should quickly move to leverage our Trinidadian diaspora community. Many of us have a narrow definition of the diaspora as those born in the country but presently living outside the country. However, if we include others with historical links to Trinidad and Tobago, our diaspora becomes at least 360,000 strong. That's the equivalent of 1/3 of our current population. And most of our diaspora consists of highly skilled workers, graduates from colleges and universities, management, and other professionals. We therefore need to find ways to fully tap into this potential labor pool for human capital and for financial investments. Second, in the same way central banks took steps to increase liquidity in the financial system, we must do better to ensure we have the necessary labor mobility to match supply more easily with demand, both within our borders and from other parts of the world, including the Caribbean. Too often we hear of the difficulties that finance and other professionals have in moving to another country where their existing qualifications are not recognized. Indeed, I have heard one highly successful Trinidad businessman lament that it is far easier for him to hire a security guard from Nigeria than it is to employ a financial analyst from Nigeria. At a time when skill shortages are acute, such barriers cannot be allowed to remain. We need to consider creating a common framework for skills recognition that gives employers and employees the confidence they need to move more freely across borders. And third, we cannot rely on emergency measures alone. In the longer term, we need to review the financial architecture that governs skills and human capital if we are to avoid breakdowns in the future. We must develop a strong ecosystem that puts programs in place to address the financial skills gap before they become critical. As we seek to build a knowledge-driven economy, tertiary education must play an increasingly important role in enhancing the country's human capital base. Tertiary education, as we all know, imparts knowledge and high-level skills, but it also provides basic and applied research that is so desperately needed to support innovation and entrepreneurship. In Trinidad and Tobago, the Government Assistance for Tuition Expenses, more popularly known as GATE, has expanded access to tertiary education by making it more affordable. An average of some 53,000 students have benefited annually from this GATE program over the past 5 years. And total expenditure on GATE is equivalent to 1/10 of the total recurrent budget for both secondary and tertiary education over the last 5 years. So it is not only the level of GATE spending that is important, but it's also the effectiveness of that spending, which needs to be better aligned to economic priority areas and to future skill needs. It may interest you to know that 70% of GATE funding is concentrated in just a few areas: management, educational services, data processing and IT, engineering, health services, natural and pure sciences, and accounting. Finance, of course, is one economic priority area and a sector that has been targeted for future diversification. At the central bank, we are helping to build this financial ecosystem through two major skill initiatives. The first relates to our scholarship program. Over the past decade, we have partnered with De La Rue, our currency printers, to offer the annual prestigious De La Rue Scholarship to students pursuing postgraduate studies in economics. This year, as we celebrate our 50th anniversary, we are offering 5 De La Rue scholarships beyond economics to the areas of finance and actuarial science, areas in which we are currently building skills. And from 2015, we will offer 3 De La Rue scholarships. Our second skill initiative refers to our National Financial Literacy Program, which began in 2007 and whose aim is to equip our citizens with the knowledge, skills, and tools to make informed financial decisions. We are now transforming the National Financial Literacy Program into an accredited training agency. One of the programs of this new training agency will be a certificate in central banking that will provide our entry-level staff with broad-based knowledge and understanding of monetary policy, financial supervision, and reserve management. I firmly believe that IBF has a key role to play in helping to build our financial ecosystem. I'm therefore pleased to hear about IBF's future initiatives for training in banking and finance, including offering online training programs. But there is much more work to be done. For instance, I believe that IBF can help to establish a set of industry standards for finance professionals that provide a clear roadmap for building their competencies as they progress in their careers across different jobs. Such financial industry competency standards will also help to build a clear pipeline of talent and leaders in finance so that our citizens, unlike you, the graduates of 2014, can take advantage of the opportunities that a growing financial industry will create. IBF can also help to develop Trinidadians for positions of leadership in tomorrow's financial world. Many of our industry pioneers and senior professionals have a wealth of experience to share. Every year, IBF bestows fellowship awards to stalwarts who've contributed to building the financial industry. Among those who are being awarded tonight are Mr. Carl Hiralal, who is the Central Bank's current Inspector of Financial Institutions, Ms. Susan Roach, our current Financial Services Ombudsman, and of course, Mr. Wendell Motley, our former Minister of Finance and currently Chairman of the Unit Trust Corporation. I believe the introduction of a well-structured IBF Future Leaders Scheme can help to transfer knowledge from these current leaders and others to the future leaders, such as the graduating class of tonight. Such an IBF Future Leaders Scheme would certainly complement the succession planning schemes in individual financial institutions. So, as I close, it is clear that Trinidad and Tobago has emerged as a regional financial center, and with aspirations to become an international financial center, you, the graduating class of 2014, will perhaps have many opportunities which will require you to continuously engage in lifelong learning. As the financial crisis of the last 6 years have taught us, there are no guarantees in the world of finance, but your training and your own moral compass will be the best tools for guiding and defending yourselves against the wolves of Wall Street. I wish you well in your future careers. Thank you.